A favourite book that's not really a thriller, but it has a lot of mystery and tension is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. It's a very unsettling book. It's dystopian, and it takes a while to discover what is happening to these young people in a closed space, and it was very influential for me in writing my book. It's a wonderful book. I think I would have to say Ishiguro for Never Let Me Go again, but other writers, not thriller writers in the traditional sense, but some writers who are very important to me are Elizabeth Strout, who's an American writer of very quiet, psychologically complex books, and this is what really interests me, this complex interior of human minds. There's also some Australian writers I very much admire. Helen Garner is one, Joan London another one, and also I love Hilary Mantel, a British writer who's just very powerful. So a lot of very strong female writers. I loved, again, it's not a straight thriller, traditional thriller, but The Ice Storm, and directed by Ang Lee. It's a very tense story about relationships between people in the middle of a very big storm that builds and builds and builds, and it's a very powerful film. One of my favourite fictional characters is Olive Kittredge, who is a very difficult person. It's from the book Olive Kittredge by Elizabeth Strout, and she's a very complex person who is hard to love. She makes trouble wherever she goes because her nature is tough and brusque, but she has a lot of integrity, but she's not easily likable, and these are the characters that I like the most. I just didn't have an answer for this one. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is interesting question. I think The Ice Storm is a good example of this, because it's people being forced closer and closer together because of a storm bringing them in. There's another very famous Australian writer called Patrick White, who won the Nobel Prize. He's dead now, but he was very famous in Australia, and a wonderful novel and film is called The Eye of the Storm, another storm, I just realized. And it's about a family siblings coming back to the bedside of their very controlling mother. Old tensions rise up when they're all trapped together in the house. In The Ice Storm, the film, the climax is both terrifying and beautiful, because there is a visual electrical storm, and the climax comes suddenly out of nowhere. You don't expect this terrible, terrible tragedy to happen, so it's incredibly shocking. There are many other tensions going on all the time around, but this one very dramatic event that will change everybody's lives is explosive and very, very climactic. Oh, the other one that I thought of is in the television adaptation of Wolf Hall, the Hilary Mantel book, where Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's wife Anne Boleyn, is guillotined, and that watching that scene in the film was incredibly, you could feel the terror in this young woman who, before this happened, I wanted her to be killed because I thought she was so dreadful. And then when she stepped onto the platform, all the human pathos was it was so real. She did it perfectly.